So we're going to go ahead and cover next perpendicular lines on the coordinate plane. So perpendicular lines are, okay, so yesterday we did parallel lines. Today we're doing perpendicular lines, and they are two lines that intersect to form a right angle. And a right angle is 90 degrees. So the symbol for perpendicular is, it's going to be an upside down T. So if you want to see kind of what it looks like one of these here. That means perpendicular. So in the coordinate plane, perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. So what they mean by opposite is that they're opposite signs. So one has to be positive and the other one has to be negative. And then reciprocals means, for example, here, if you take the fraction 1/3 and you flip it over, it would be 3/1. And then 3/1 reduces to 3. Okay, remember, one has to be positive and one has to be negative. So that's what opposite reciprocals are. Another way to check to see if they are perpendicular is by multiplying the slopes. If you multiply 1/3 times -3, it will always give you -1. Okay, so let's go ahead and try some examples here. It says use a points mark to find the slope of each line, then answer the question. Okay, so starting with line A, we're going to count the slope. So it goes up 1, 2, and then the run is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So our slope for line A is 2/5. Then we have line B. So we count the slope. It goes up 1, 2, and 3, and it runs. Oh, 3. My pen doesn't want to write. Oh, 1, 2. Why isn't it writing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 8 and this is 3. So our slope here is going to be 3/8. And we have line C. If we count the slope, it goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And it goes to the right 1, 2. This is 5, 2. Because it goes down, we're going to do -5/2. Last is line D. Here's line D. It goes down 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1. So because it goes down, it would be -3/1. So when we are looking for opposite reciprocals, we're looking for a fraction to be flipped. So if we look here, 2/5, the fraction flip would be 5/2. And we need to make sure that one is positive and one is negative. So that means that A is perpendicular to C. And that's the only one, because 3/8 and 3/1, those are not opposite reciprocals of each other. Okay, so example number 2, it says draw line B passing through the point -2, 5 and perpendicular to line A. So if we look at line A, our slope here, the rise is 1, 2. And then our run is 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and it's positive. So I'm going to go ahead and write my equation out. Y equals, my slope here is 2/3 x, and then our y-intercept here is 4, so it'll be +4. Okay, now for point or line B, they give us a point. They want the point to be going through -2, -5, so that's where I'm going to start. -2, oh, +5, sorry. +5 would be here. Okay, and then if they wanted to be perpendicular to this line, we're going to have to get a perpendicular slope. So if this is 2/3, a perpendicular slope would be 2/3. We would have to flip that over and do 3/2. And then we would have to make it a negative because 2/3 is positive. Okay, and then x, and then all we got to do is figure out what the y-intercept is. So we're going to go ahead and go down 3 from this line. So down 1, 2, and 3, and to the right 1, 2, which is going to make our y-intercept a +2. So right +2. and that would be our line B. All right, the next example, it says draw line B passing through the point -4, 0, and perpendicular to line A. So we're going to figure out the slope for line A. It goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1. So here we're going to do y equals, our slope here is -4 over 1. But remember, -4 divided by 1 is just -4. So I'm just going to write it as -4. And then x. And our y-intercept for this one is a -5. Crosses through -5, so it'll be -5. So now for the equation of line B, it's going to be y equals, we're going to have to find the perpendicular slope. So if -4 is my slope here, then our slope is going to be positive, and we're going to have to flip it over. So remember, it was 4 over 1. Well, we're going to have to flip it to 1 over 4. And then we have x, and then we're going to have to figure out what our y-intercept is. Okay, so they tell us it has to pass through -4, 0. So -4, 0 would be right here. And then we're going to count a slope of up 1 and to the right 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is going to be our point, our line. And that makes our y-intercept a positive one. All right. Here it says determine which of the following equations are perpendicular to y equals -5 over 7x plus 4. Answer yes or no. So if we look at the slopes, here my slope is going to be -5 over 7. So when I'm looking for a perpendicular slope, I'm looking for a positive number. So this one is positive, but the fraction is not flipped. So no, this is not a perpendicular slope. We would have to flip over the fraction. This is -5 over 7, and this one is also -5 over 7. So no, they're the same. That means that these two lines are parallel, and that's not what they're asking us for. They're asking us for perpendicular. And then for this last one, we're going to have to find the slope. Remember, m equals -a over b, where a is going to be 7. So -7 over, and b is -5. So -7 divided by -5, two negatives make a positive, so it would just be 7 over. So if we look to check to see, are these opposite reciprocals of each other? Well, yes, one's negative, one's positive, one's 5 over 7, and the other one is 7 over 5. So this is an example of a perpendicular slope. Okay, looking at the next one. So here we're going to use the same formula, m equals -a over b, so -2 over 3 is our slope here, because they have it in standard form. Okay, so we're going to look for a perpendicular slope. So if we're looking for a perpendicular slope, we're looking for a positive. And instead of 2 over 3, we're going to have to flip it over. It'll be 3 over 2. So the perpendicular slope that we're looking for, I'm going to put right here, perpendicular slope is 3 over 2. Okay, that's what we're looking for. So on this first one, we're going to have to use our formula m equals -a, so -6 over -4. -6 over -4 is going to simplify as 3 over 2. Okay, and yes, this is what we're looking for. Yes, this is a perpendicular slope. Okay, because these matched up. Okay, looking at the next one, this one isn't in standard form because the x and the y's are not on the same side, but the 2 here in front with the y, all we got to do is divide both sides by 2, and we get y equals 3 over 2x plus 1 over 2. And this, we made it in slope-intercept form. So our slope here is going to be a positive 3 over 2. And yes, that's what we're looking for. That's a perpendicular slope. And last, here we have -3 over 2. Remember, if this one is negative, then your perpendicular slope has to be positive. So no, this is not a perpendicular slope. Okay, the next section, it says write the equation in slope-intercept form of a line perpendicular to y equals -1/2 x plus 4 and passing through this. Okay, so if this is my slope here, -1/2, then a perpendicular slope is going to equal 2 over 1. You flip over the fraction and you change the sign. Now 2 over 1 is just 2. So now that we know our m, we're going to go ahead and plug this into y equals mx plus b. Okay, we're going to plug in this point. So we know that our x value is 7. So instead of x, I'm going to put a 7. We know that our y value here is 6. So instead of y, I'm going to put a 6. Equals, our perpendicular slope has to be 2. And then b, we don't know. That's what we're looking for. So 6 equals 2 times 7 is 14 plus b. We're going to go ahead and move over the 14 by subtracting it. And 6 minus 14 gives us negative 8. So now that we know our y-intercept and now that we know our slope, we're going to go ahead and plug it in. So we're going to plug it in. Y equals, our m is 2x, and since our b is negative, it would be minus 8. And that's it. So let's go ahead and try this one more time. It says write the equation in slope-intercept form of a line perpendicular to this one. Now this time they give us the slope, or they give us the equation in standard form. So to find the slope, we're going to do negative 8 over b. So m equals negative 4 over 7. Okay, so that's going to be our perpendicular. Oh, that's the slope for this one. So the perpendicular slope is going to be 7 over 4. This one is negative and this one is positive. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure out what the equation of the line is using slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. Our x is negative 4, so m, instead of, well, not m. Instead of x, we're going to put negative 4. And then our y value here is negative 2. So instead of y, I'm going to put a negative 2 equals. Our slope, our perpendicular slope here, remember we said was 7 over 4. So instead of m, we're going to put 7 over 4. And then we're trying to figure out what our y-intercept is. So we have negative 2 equals, we multiply the top ones only. 7 times negative 4 gives us negative 28. And this is over 4 plus b. Negative 28 divided by 4 gives us negative 7 plus b. And our last step to solve for b is to add 7 to both sides. That gives us 5 is equal to b. So the equation of our line is y equals negative 4 over 7x plus 5. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our next example. It says perpendicular bisector is a line that divides a segment into 2 equal parts. It also forms a right angle with the segment. So here it says, what is the slope of segment AB? So it's going to take us step by step. So the slope from A to B, it goes down 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So since it goes down 4, it'll be negative 4 over 6, but we can reduce this. This would reduce to negative 2 over 3. Okay, then it says, what are the coordinates of the midpoint of segment AB? So to find the midpoint between A and B, if you wanted to find it on the graph, if you take this 4 and you cut it in half, it cuts in half at 2, right? So then you cut it straight across. You take this 6 and you cut it in half. 1, 2, 3, you cut it in half, and there you go. There's your midpoint. So our midpoint is negative 1, positive 2. Then it says, what should be the slope of the perpendicular bisector of segment AB? So if we're making a perpendicular slope to this one here, a perpendicular slope would be positive because that one's negative, and then we flip over the fraction, it would be 3 over 2. Then it says, use your answer from B and C to draw the perpendicular bisector of segment AB. So I'm going from here, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3 from this midpoint, 1, 2, and 3, and to the right, 1, 2. And there is our point. Okay, then it says use your answers from B and C to write the equation in slope-intercept form of the perpendicular bisector. Okay, so remember they give us this point here. We know the slope here. So we're going to write it in the form of y equals mx plus b. Now, on the graph, we can't really see what our y-intercept is, so we're going to have to use the equation to figure it out. So y is equal to 2. Our slope is 3 over 2. Our x value is negative 1, and then plus b. Now, negative 1 times 3 over 2 is just going to give us negative 3 over 2 plus b. And to cancel out this negative 3 over 2, now if you're not 100% confident with fractions, we can change that to a decimal for you. That would give us negative 1.5. So to change that, all we got to do is move over the 1.5 by adding 1.5. So 2 plus 1.5 gives you 3.5. Okay, so now we're ready to write the equation of our line. Y equals 3 halves x plus 3.5. And that would be our equation of our line. And that's it. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.